This is how I became a resident in Spain. I did everything through a process called family member union. I've been an immigrant before. I came from Venezuela to the US, and that immigration process was way harder compared to what I've lived through in Spain. I think that becoming a resident through a family member here in Spain is really easy. Probably one of the most easy processes that I've heard before. I know the situation is very unique, very privileged, and if you have it, this video is going to help you get an idea of what it's like, what paperwork you need to get done to complete, and have an idea of how much it costs. If you want to know the price, just stay till the end so you can hear all the details and know more about that. First, I want to give you a timeline of how things have gone for me, and also tell you more about this union that allowed me to receive the residency in Spain. I started dating this guy who is now my husband in 2019, and in 2020 we began living together and we created pareja de hecho or pareja de facto, and we completed that paperwork for me to be able to travel with him during COVID. I don't want to say that becoming pareja de hecho is a must-do step, but I do think it's something that helped us, because this document, this certification, says that legally you are together, you have a civil union, you're not just dating or messing around. It has some weight to it, and this document is very well accepted in Europe. So for that reason, I think that it was good to have a legal history of being in a relationship with this person. This is going to sound irrelevant now, but it is relevant. In August 2023, I found out that I was pregnant and we were thinking about moving to Europe. So I went ahead and got insurance, private insurance in Spain, and we started paying that in August. You do need to have medical insurance to become a resident. You can do that later on or whenever you need to, but I think again it was good to have this before we started the whole process, because it shows that you've been paying a bill of medical insurance, that you're covered here, and that everything is good. In September 2023, we got officially married and we moved to Madrid in November 2023. Now, we got married in Miami, and that complicated things a little bit for us because we had to translate the document and certify it with the stamp of La Haya. This process is also known as apostille. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but you need this stamp for every document that you bring from an international country to Spain. If you are from Miami, you live in Miami, Docu Rapid is great when it comes to doing all these things, translating and preparing documents to be admitted in international countries. Since the marriage was in another country, we had to register that certificate in the civil registry here in Madrid, and you can imagine how things are in these government buildings. It takes a year for them to process your documentation, and then they're going to tell you if they're missing more documents or if they're going to accept your certificate. And so at this point we have no idea if they had accepted it, but you can move along into the residency process without them approving this document. But just saying, if you have the opportunity to get married in Europe, especially in Spain, things are going to run much smoother. Something else that people ask me a lot about, like, can you do this if you're not living in Spain? And the answer is no. You do have to move to Spain, but it doesn't matter if you haven't lived here before. But you have to live in Spain for the whole process of the residency and live here for at least a year once you have become a resident. I'm going to start with explaining how to get your marriage status approved and recognized by Spain if it comes from another country. First, you need a copy of your DNI, birth certificate of both partners, and marriage certificate. This sounds simple, but I have some things to explain. By the way, DNI stands for Documento Nacional de Identidad. This is the official ID here in Spain. Everyone has it, everyone needs it, everyone asks you about your DNI, so you have to have it. To have this, in our case, things were a little complicated because my husband has not lived in Spain for a long time. And he was actually born in Venezuela, then immigrated to the US when he was like 1 year old, and then spent some time in Malaga, moved back to the US, and he's lived in the US for his whole life pretty much. So he didn't have this document. And one of the requirements to get the DNI is your birth certificate that demonstrates that you have roots from Spanish people. Our lawyer really helped us to get this document, a really special document that we didn't have to get from Venezuela. And the document, what it says is that, you know, he is the son of this person and this person who are both Spanish, and therefore he is Spanish. He also needed empadronamiento, and empadronamiento is an official document that states that you live in a certain address here in Spain. And to get empadronamiento, you need to have the following. You need an apartment contract or a bill that has your name, bill for utilities for that apartment. You also need an ID of documentation. It can be your passport, or it could be any type of document that gives evidence for your immigration status in this country. And third, you need the empadronamiento form, which is a form that you can get at their office, or I'm going to put a link here down below so you can check it out and see what it requires from you. I said the second document to get your marriage certificate registered is birth certificates of both people. As I told you already, my husband's was really easy, but in my case, I had to have a family member go to an office, government office in Venezuela, and get this document sealed or stamped by La Haya, and then get that shipped from Venezuela to Madrid. It took us like a month to get that document done. So be smart and start that already. Marriage certificate. Since this document is in English, we had to take it to an office to get it translated and get it stamped by La Haya. Our lawyer submitted all this to the civil registry. We won't hear from them for after a year time. That's it. Now let's put that to the side and start talking about the documents that you need for the residency. You need the application form for residency request. It's a document EX19. And it's really simple to fill out. Honestly, it's just 2 pages. You also need a scanned copy of all of the pages of your passport. And this goes to the person who is a foreigner, the one that it's looking for the residency. You also need a scanned copy of the DNI of the citizen, in this case, my husband. You need empadronamiento. That comes up again. Then we needed our marriage certificate or any document that gives evidence for the union between these two people. I'm pretty sure that you can also do all this with pareja de hecho. I think it's more official if you're married, and they give you more residency time in Spain if you're married, but I'm pretty sure that you can also do it as just pareja de hecho. And by the way, since our marriage certificate it's still not approved, completed by the civil registry, we just had to bring a certification that says that this document is in the process. Then we needed to have evidence of financial means to live here. So since we don't work in Spain because we're both remote, I work as a therapist, Nick works as a trader, and by the way, check out his channel because he is also like a trader teacher, so he teaches a lot about trading. So check that out if you want to make some money with trading. But anyways, in many cases, people do work in the city, so they have to provide evidence that they have a job. In our case, we had to provide that we had financial means in the bank. So we had to create a Spanish bank account and put a minimum of 11,000 euros in there to provide reassurance that we can sustain a lifestyle here. Health insurance, I told you it was gonna come back. You do need to show that you have either travel insurance. I don't know how good they can be and if they're always accepted. I think you're going to be more safe if you have a Spanish private insurance, and that's what we have. We have a policy with MUSA, Nueva Mutua Sanitaria, and we love it. And then because our lawyer helped us get together all of this documentation, we had to sign another document that allows her to be part of the process, and this document is called Documento de Designación de Representante. So she is a representative, and that's how she gets to have access to all of our documents before us. Okay, after collecting all of these documents, our lawyers submitted this to the immigration office in April. And And in the beginning of June, she had already called me saying that they accepted everything and that they were gonna give me an appointment that I had to go to in just like 2 days, something like that. She gave me a very short notice, and this appointment required me to go to this immigration office. If you are in Madrid, it's a bit far from the center, and the purpose of the appointment was for me to put down my fingerprints. I brought with me my passport, my fingers of course, and my letter of empadronamiento. What else did I bring with me? And a picture that they needed to, take to put in the residency card. This picture, make sure it has a white background. My background was not super white, it was more grayish, and I had to take a new picture and go back to the office. Oh, and also make sure you look in that picture the way you look in person, because I had dyed my hair after I took the picture and the officer did not accept the picture. He said I didn't look like the person in the picture and that he didn't know if that was my sister or someone else. And I said people dyed their hairs, there are hair salons. And he said, I don't care, I need a new picture of you. I had to go get a new picture and go back. Anyways, I put my fingerprints. It didn't take too long. I do recommend to you go there very comfortable. Don't go fancy. No one there is trying to impress anyone. They're just trying to get their documentation. And it can be hot if you're there in the summer. The lines can be long. So go there very comfortable. A month later, they emailed my lawyer telling her that I had to go back to get the residency card. And that was July 12th. So on July 12th, I went to pick it up. And when you do, go with your partner, their DNI, yourself, and your passport, and that's about it. Oh, and there's also a document that you have to take, the one that they gave you for the appointment, the one that they sent you for the appointment. So the whole process of me getting my residency only took 3 months. 3 months. As I said, I submitted everything in April, and by July I had my residency card in hand. And I can get my Spanish passport next year. Well, I can apply to my Spanish passport next year. My card says my residency expires in 2028, so that means that I've been granted permission to live here as a resident for 5 years. Something interesting here is that the application process, it says that I am requesting 1 year, but they give me 5 years. I don't know if this is standard. I don't know, again, if it's because we're married or whatever it may be, but I'm super grateful that they gave me longer than what I requested. About pricing. So all of this process with our lawyer costed us, and that price may be a bit on the lower side just because she was a friend of a friend, and we started working with her in 2022, and everything gets more expensive with the years, so you may find something a bit more expensive than that, but I do think that you can find something like this at this price. Now, something else that people ask me a lot is, should you get a lawyer? It depends. It really depends. I think that moving to a new country can be really stressful. We were in the middle of finding an apartment, finding a place to live. I was pregnant. I really didn't have time or space or energy to dedicate myself to deal with the civil registry and paperwork and understanding the immigration policies of a new country. I think having a lawyer made things way easier for us and maybe even faster, but you can absolutely do this process on your own by going to the offices, doing research online, and submitting your papers yourself. You don't need to have a lawyer for this. But even as a Spanish speaker, Spanish is my first language, I had trouble understanding Spanish from Spain. In formal documents, sometimes words are like, I don't know, too big, too complicated, and I don't know what I would have done without my lawyer to help me go through this. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Leave any comments down below if you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to share about your experience, and I hope to see you very soon to talk more about how to make a living in Europe. Bye!